There's the you that you think you are, the you that others perceive, and the you that runs the show when no one's watching. Two of these are lies. I'm going to prove that to you in the next 30 minutes. And I need you to stay with me because what I'm about to walk you through isn't comfortable. But it's accurate. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. By the end of this video, you're going to understand why you feel fractured, why you sometimes don't recognize yourself in your own decisions, why the person you swear you are never quite shows up when it matters. There are 3 identities operating inside you right now. 2 of them are performance. 1 of them is truth. And that one is terrified of being seen. I've spent years working with people in high-stakes environments where identity matters. Military selection, behavioral profiling, interrogation, resistance training. And the first thing you learn in that world is this: people lie to themselves more effectively than they lie to anyone else. They don't mean to. It's not malicious. It's survival. But the gap between who you think you are and who you actually are when the pressure's on, that gap is where everything breaks down. So let me frame this for you. We're going to walk through 3 layers: the conceptual self, the social self, and the behavioral self. The first one is the story you tell yourself about who you are. The second one is the performance you give to the world. The third one is what you actually do when no one's watching and nothing's at stake except your own comfort. And I'm going to show you why only one of those is real. Let me ground this in something you can verify. There's a concept in neuroscience called the narrative self. It's the voice in your head that narrates your life as it's happening. The one that says things like, I'm the kind of person who values honesty. I'm someone who stands up for what's right. I'm loyal. I'm disciplined. I'm kind. That voice is generated primarily by your prefrontal cortex. It's the storytelling part of your brain. And it's extraordinarily good at creating coherent narratives that make you feel stable and consistent. But here's the problem. That narrative self is not reporting reality. It's creating a story that protects you from cognitive dissonance. It takes your scattered, contradictory behaviors and weaves them into a clean storyline that you can live with. And it does this automatically, beneath your conscious awareness, every single day. There was a study done decades ago with split brain patients, people who'd had the connection between their 2 brain hemispheres severed to treat severe epilepsy. Researchers would show one image to the left hemisphere and a different image to the right hemisphere. Then they'd ask the person why they just did a certain action that was triggered by the right hemisphere. The left hemisphere, which controls language and hadn't seen that image, would immediately invent a reason. A completely fabricated explanation that sounded perfectly logical. The person believed it. They weren't lying. Their brain was doing what it's designed to do. It was narrating. It was creating meaning where there was only action. That's happening in your brain right now. Every single day. You do something. Your narrative self explains why you did it. And the explanation always makes you the hero of your own story. Now let's get into the architecture. There are 3 identities. I'm going to walk you through each one. And I'm going to show you how 2 of them are constructed, maintained, and completely unreliable, and how the third one is the only thing that tells the truth. Number 1 is the conceptual self. This is the identity you believe you have. It's the answer to the question, who am I? It's made up of traits, values, beliefs, and stories. I am kind. I am honest. I am someone who doesn't give up. I care about fairness. I value my family. I'm not the kind of person who would do that. This identity lives entirely in your head. It's not based on observation. It's based on intention and aspiration. It's who you want to be, who you think you should be, and who you remember being in your best moments. Your brain stitches those moments together and calls it you. Here's how it works. Let's say you believe you're a generous person. You remember the time you gave money to someone who needed it. You remember covering a friend's tab at dinner. You remember donating to a cause you care about. Those memories become the evidence. Your narrative self takes those snapshots and builds an identity around them. Generous, that's who I am. But what your brain conveniently edits out are the 47 times you walked past someone who needed help and didn't stop. The times you said you'd contribute and didn't follow through. The moments you calculated the social return before deciding whether to give, those don't make it into the story. Not because you're dishonest, but because your brain is optimized for coherence, not accuracy. The conceptual self is a protective mechanism. It keeps you from falling apart. If you saw yourself clearly, if you held all of your contradictions in your mind at the same time, you'd experience massive psychological distress. So your brain smooths it out. It gives you a stable sense of self, a through line, a character you can recognize in the mirror, but it's not real. It's a story. And that's the first identity, the one that lives in your head and nowhere else. Number 2 is the social self. This is the identity you perform for other people. It's not the same as the conceptual self. Sometimes it overlaps. Often it doesn't. The social self is strategic. It's the version of you that gets shaped by what you think others expect, value, or will reward. This identity is built in real time. In interaction, you adjust it based on who you're talking to. You're one version of yourself with your boss, a different version with your parents, a different version with your closest friend, a different version online. And you don't experience this as deception. It feels like code switching, like adapting, like being appropriate. But here's what's actually happening. Your brain is running a constant prediction algorithm. It's asking, what does this person want from me? What will keep me safe here? What will make me likable, respected, or valuable in this interaction? And then it generates a performance. I've seen this firsthand in interrogation training. You put someone in a room and apply pressure. Not physical, psychological. You watch them cycle through different versions of themselves trying to figure out which one will get them out. First, they're confident. Then they're confused. Then they're cooperative. Then they're defiant. Then they're vulnerable. They're not lying. They're trying on identities in real time to see which one works. And you do this every single day. You walk into a meeting and you become competent, composed, professional you. You go home and you become tired, irritable, off-duty you. You get on a call with someone you're trying to impress and you become charming. Articulate, slightly better than you actually are you. None of these are false, exactly. They're all facets, but they're not the truth. They're performances. And the key thing about the social self is this. It requires an audience. It only exists in relation to other people. When the audience disappears, so does that version of you. The social self is exhausting because it takes effort. You're constantly monitoring, adjusting, checking to see if it's working. Am I coming across the way I want to? Did that land the way I intended? Do they see me the way I need to be seen? It's a full-time job. And most people are running this program in the background every waking moment. And that's the second identity, the one you show the world, the one that changes shape depending on who's watching. Now here's where this gets personal, because you've lived your entire life believing that one of those two identities is the real you. You think the conceptual self, the story in your head, is who you are. Or you think the social self, the version people see and respond to, is who you are. And you've probably spent years trying to bring those two into alignment, trying to be authentic, trying to make sure the outside matches the inside. But neither of those is the truth. The truth is the third one, and it's the one you've been avoiding. Number 3 is the behavioral self. This is who you actually are when no one is watching and there are no consequences. It's not what you think. It's not what you perform. It's what you do. The behavioral self is revealed in the small moments. The ones that don't make it into your narrative, it's what you do when you're tired, when you're stressed, when you think no one will ever know. It's the decision you make in private, the corner you cut when it doesn't matter, the promise you break when it's inconvenient, the impulse you follow when no one's there to see it. This is the only honest identity you have. Because behavior doesn't lie. You can tell yourself any story you want. You can perform any character you want. But when the moment comes and you act, that action is the truth. Let me say that again. Behavior doesn't lie. Your conceptual self might say you're disciplined. Your social self might perform discipline when people are watching, but your behavioral self is the one that hits snooze 6 times, skips the workout, eats the thing you said you wouldn't eat, and scrolls for an hour when you said you'd go to bed. That's the truth. That's who you are. Now, I'm not saying this to shame you. I'm saying it because it's the only way to see clearly. The behavioral self is not evil. It's not weak. It's just honest. It operates according to immediate reinforcement. It responds to comfort, avoidance, pleasure, and fear in real time. It doesn't care about your narrative. It doesn't care about your reputation. It just does what works in the moment to regulate your nervous system. And here's the mechanism. Your brain is built in layers. You've got the old brain, the limbic system, the mammalian brain that's been around for millions of years. It's fast. It's automatic. It's designed to keep you alive. Then you've got the newer brain, the prefrontal cortex, the part that thinks, plans, narrates, and performs. That part is slow. It's expensive to run. It takes energy. When you're rested, fed, calm, and safe, your prefrontal cortex can run the show. You can be the person you think you are. You can perform the person others expect. But the moment you're tired, stressed, hungry, or threatened, the old brain takes over. And the old brain doesn't care about your identity. It cares about survival, comfort, relief, safety. That's when the behavioral self shows up. That's when you see who you actually are. And here's why the behavioral self is terrified of being seen. Because it knows it doesn't match the story. It knows that if people saw what you actually do when no one's watching, the whole carefully constructed narrative would collapse. The conceptual self would shatter. The social self would lose its audience. And you'd be left with just the raw truth of your actions. That's the terror. Not that you're bad, but that you're not who you've been saying you are. I've trained people in this: high performers, operators, people who need to be reliable under pressure. And the first thing we do is strip away the narrative. We watch behavior. We put people in scenarios where their conceptual self and their social self can't help them, and we watch what they actually do, because that's the only data that matters. And every single time there's a gap. The person who says they're courageous freezes. The person who says they're calm panics. The person who says they're ethical cuts corners. It's not a character flaw. It's just the difference between story and reality. So now you've got the 3 identities. The one in your head, the one you show the world, and the one that runs the show when the pressure's off and no one's looking. And I told you 2 of them are lies. The conceptual self is a lie because it's not based on evidence. It's based on selective memory and narrative smoothing. The social self is a lie because it's performative. It's strategic. It's designed to get a specific response from other people. The behavioral self is the only one that's real, because it's the only one that shows up in action, and action is the only place truth lives. Now, here's what happens when you understand this. You stop trying to fix your identity. You stop trying to become the person you think you should be. and you start watching your behavior like it's data. Because it is. If you want to know who you actually are, don't ask yourself. Don't ask other people. Watch what you do when it doesn't count. Watch what you choose when no one will ever know. Watch where your time actually goes. Watch what you do when you're tired, when you're alone. When the stakes are low, that's you. That's the truth. And once you see that, you can start working with reality instead of fighting it. You can stop trying to align your behavior with your narrative and start building a narrative that reflects your actual behavior. Or you can change your behavior. But you can't do either one until you see clearly. Most people never do this. They spend their entire lives defending the conceptual self, performing the social self, and hiding the behavioral self. They feel fractured because they're living in 3 different stories that don't line up. And they think the answer is more discipline, more willpower, more alignment. It's not. The answer is honesty. The answer is looking at what you actually do and calling it what it is. There's a reason this is hard. Your brain is wired to protect the narrative, because the narrative is what keeps you functional. If you walked around all day seeing yourself clearly, seeing every contradiction, every gap between what you say and what you do, you'd be paralyzed. So your brain hides it from you. It gives you the conceptual self and the social self and keeps the behavioral self in the shadows. But you can override that. You can choose to look. And when you do, you'll see something surprising. The behavioral self isn't the enemy. It's just the part of you that's been running the show while the other 2 were busy talking. Here's what you can do about it. Start tracking your behavior like it's not personal. Treat it like you're a researcher observing a subject. What did I actually do today? Not what did I intend to do? Not what did I tell people I did? What did I actually do? Where did my time go? What did I choose when I had a choice? What did I avoid? What did I prioritize when no one was watching? Do this for a week. Just observe. Don't judge. Don't fix. Just watch. And you'll start to see patterns. You'll start to see the behavioral self clearly. And once you see it, you can work with it. You can stop expecting it to match the story in your head. You can stop performing a version of yourself that takes massive energy to maintain. And you can start making decisions based on who you actually are. Not who you wish you were. That's where the power is. Not in becoming someone else, but in seeing yourself clearly and building from there. Let me say that one more time. The power is not in becoming someone else. It's in seeing yourself clearly and building from there. Most people are terrified of this because they think if they see the behavioral self clearly, they'll discover they're terrible. They're not. They're just human. The behavioral self is shaped by 1,000,000 years of evolution. It's doing exactly what it's designed to do. It's keeping you comfortable. It's avoiding pain. It's seeking reward. It's regulating your nervous system in real time. It's not good or bad. It's just honest. And when you stop fighting it, when you stop trying to overwrite it with a better story, something shifts. You stop feeling fractured. You stop feeling like a liar because you're not pretending anymore. You're just working with what's real. The conceptual self will still be there. You'll still have a story about who you are, but it'll be based on evidence now, on patterns, on what you actually do. The social self will still be there. You'll still adapt to different contexts, but it won't feel like a performance. It'll feel like flexibility, and the behavioral self will finally be able to come out of the shadows because you're not afraid of it anymore. Here's what I want you to take from this. You are not the story in your head. You are not the performance you give the world. You are what you do when it doesn't count. And that's not something to be ashamed of. It's something to see clearly, because once you see it, you can shape it, you can work with it, You can stop wasting energy on narratives and performances that don't match reality. And you can start building a life that's based on truth. There's the you that you think you are, the you that others perceive, and the you that runs the show when no one's watching. Two of those are lies. One of them is real. And now you know which one. Thank you for staying with me. I know this wasn't easy, but you're one of the few people who's willing to look at this clearly. And that matters.